Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. You all know it is Women's History Month, and I am talking to all of my fabulous women business leaders and entrepreneurs and owners. And I promise you all, it's like a love fest, and I love it. I love when I get to be able to be in the studio with my with people that I love and respect and honor. I honor, you are probably one of those, my guests that I do. There is a peer mentorship. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I like
it's
that.
a peer mentorship.
Aww.
Like, I feel like I feed on her.
Yes.
I appreciate that relationship. And I think
2-hour pre-meeting.
Yeah. We did. Before we started this episode, we had a whole conversation for a good 45 minutes. And just for the record, and we sit next to each other in the office. So, you know, but
that's
I
okay.
mean, it's okay. But I do consider her a friend, a peer mentor, even when she don't tell me information that I wish she had told me. But it's okay. It's all right.
Because we can always make up.
We can. That's right. That's all right. It's okay. It's all right.
Look
I love
forward
her.
and not back.
Yes. Okay. Let's look forward. It is Women's History Month, so I am honoring you and celebrating your awesomeness.
And I honor you as well for even having this platform.
And so you all, I know she's talking before I introduce, which is great because it's a real thing. Like, this is like real. Like, we're not making this up. So Sarah goes by Sarah with an H.
Yes.
I say that because a lot of people confuse her. And so we have to clarify that. Notice I started the whole episode with Sarah with an H.
Sarah with an H.
Because I even started doing it. I was like, wait, I forgot the H. I think me and Katori was like, oops, we forgot the H. So Sarah Ware is shaping real estate and community growth with vision and vigor. She is a distinguished figure in the real estate realm, boasting over 20 years of dedicated service across various industry sectors. So just so you know, earlier today, I said 20 years and 21, and she was like, it's not 21, but in her bio, it says 20. But no, nobody's going to say anything. It's okay. Her journey from a corporate role to the principal and designated managing broker at Ware Realty Group highlights a trajectory of profound impact and leadership. Under her guidance, Ware Realty Group has not only served the public and private sectors with distinction, but has also been recognized as a minority-owned and disadvantaged business enterprise, showcasing a steadfast commitment to diversity and inclusivity. And we'll talk a little bit about her certifications because I think that's important. Sarah's unique approach extends to strategic partnerships with government entities, enhancing economic development and market stability and I always want to say this word wrong, in burgeoning communities. I always want to say it's something else different.
You can say something else.
I can't. I want to say.
Yeah, just say what you want to say. It's Women's History Month.
Communities.
There we go.
I say that because I don't like this word. Because what does that really mean? And I feel like you are building emerging communities that can grow and emerge into something great. So that's just me. But I never really like when people say that because a lot of times people said it was bougie communities. But I'm just
they go noted.
But that might be Larvetta. As the 139th president of the Chicago Association of Realtors in 2022 to 2023, and with influential roles on the boards of the Illinois Realtors and National Association of Realtors, Sarah's leadership spans across significant industry pillars. She is a proud Southsider, y'all.
Southside.
She is a proud Southsider. Finds balance in solitude, Netflix binges. Oh, we got to talk about that, and the energizing rush of Orange Theory workout. So I've done that with her. So she is an energizing bunny in Orange Theory.
Almost 600 classes.
Wow.
Yes, I will be at 600 soon.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm 565, 70-ish right now.
That's why you are who you are.
That's my therapy though.
I get it. We have to have therapy. I mean, when you got 20 years in a business,
yes.
And we live in Chicago, right? And so, as I read your bio, I read bios because I believe that we see people out, we don't really know what they do, we don't know their background, and so it's important that people know who you are, right?
Yes, but I'm sure as you read bios, especially during Women's History Month, we cringe.
Yeah.
And we
I know, ugh. But I don't. But it's funny because I don't.
Because you read it proud and loud.
Yes.
I was like, ugh.
I'm like, yes. I get to talk about my fabulous friends and what they do. And I get to actually communicate to the world how awesome they are. So to me, it's my joy. I get off on that, honestly. So it is my thing. So, I really, I always ask this question, and I do want to ask because I'm curious.
Okay.
As Sarah as a little girl, who is Sarah as a little girl?
I am one of 5, the second to the oldest. So it's not really a middle child.
Okay.
And even though my brother was older than me, I really kind of acted as the eldest child.
Okay. Oh.
So I was the one in the business, like in everybody's business. And so my parents are still together. We are very close. We're close, and we are far enough where we don't borrow money from each other. I said that's what keeps it together. So I'm the one that would take care of the business.
Okay. So even as a little girl.
Oh, I was always taking care of business.
I love it.
Trying to figure out okay, the teacher said this. I need to understand what. Are you sure? And then I went through a period that I didn't talk because I felt it wasn't necessary for me to talk. I was like, I don't need to say anything. Yes. My aunts or aunties, as we call them, remind me of this all the time. They was like, wow, it was time. Remember when you didn't talk? I said, I know. And they said, look at you now.
Look at me now.
Yeah, look at me now. I mean, it was to the point where my parents had to come up to the class, and I said, well, what? I don't need to talk to these people. So that's when they found out I was kind of bored with school, and then that's when I was put in like the selective enrollment schools.
Oh, wow.
And so, because I was like, what are we doing here? So at an early age, I recognized that, I don't want to say my discernment, but they sometimes say October babies are very cut, dry. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't say no emotion, but we don't show emotion, even if we hold them in. And I get that from my grandmother. On my dad's side of the family, because they're very, we're not like, oh, hey, so it's all, we may do it in private, but I was kind of brought up not to show that in public.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Black families kind of were raised like that. And so agree. I was always raised to take care of business and, don't embarrass us.
Yeah.
That's that line that your parents tell you. And so I kind of brought that to the 10th power. And still to this day, I still try to take care of my business. Try not to embarrass my family, and instill that like into my nephews, that's awesome. And just my business. I think that's how I run my business.
And I think it's funny that you say that because that my dad says all the time. It's so funny. So he'll say, often, how's business? I was like, it's good. Now, are you in the red or are you in the black? What is it? I'm like, Dad, I'm not in the red. Oh, okay, good.
Right.
Okay, so, well, how's the business? Well, really, what's he want to know? Well, how much you making?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. Then he was like, well, how much you taking home? I'm like, I think you're getting way too personal. But I think that much like growing up, it's like that's the business side. Like when I say, Dad, I got an event, he's like, oh, okay. Well, how much did you make today? Like he doesn't translate the community event side to it. But what he does, which I think is generational too, is he says, do you take care of your employees? Are you nice to them? Aww. Yeah. So he cares. He wants to make sure, like, are you, do you, like when they have a tough day, do you allow them? I mean,
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, Dad, so he thinks about that, even though it's like how much you making,
right?
But he cares about the people that, and I think that he says all the time, okay, well, I know you take care of business. So when you said that, it was a trigger, because that's what my dad says. He's like, okay, I know you got to go because you got to take care of your business today. And in some regards, Sarah, growing up, it kind of was, I was offended.
Well, and I don't want it to seem like, they was like, oh my gosh, you're so busy, but I don't want it to seem like I'm too busy to kind of stop and say, hey, because I'll go over their house and on the couch. Yeah. And maybe your father was asking how much you make to say, okay, is she good? So she wanted to come home.
Oh, well, that too.
My father used to tell me that. He's like, I just want to make sure you're good so you stay out of my pocket.
Yeah. So. Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what it was for now, Sarah. Let's be real.
Right.
He trying to see what, like, or he like, well, do I have to? He's like, can I go in her pocket too?
Right. Like, it's something I'm looking at. Maybe she can help me out with.
Exactly,
okay. So but yes. And I think, we were, and it's a gift and a curse.
It is. I agree. So, I think it is. And it's like my dad and I, we share an account together. And so we had a little situation, and he was like, I said, well, Dad, I do have, access to your account. Do you want me to just do? No. I said, well, Dad, I wasn't going to. He said, I know you ain't going in my account. So I ain't even got to even go and look and think. And so he was like, you about that business, you ain't going to hell for nobody. And he is right.
Or jail.
Right. Or jail. Because I could go to jail too. And so when you say that, it was a trigger for me to think about, how my dad. So you are the business. You are, in some regards, the go-to. And were you like the go-to for all things resources and things like that?
Making sure
was
that the
you as a little girl?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But I think those habits that were instilled in me then, like I'm an early riser.
Okay.
I always, my parents, my father is an early riser, and so he had us up, and I was usually the first one up, no alarm. To this day, I still don't use an alarm unless I'm traveling and have to get up very early. But I will try to wake up naturally. I will fall asleep early. Like my nephew, we are the exact same.
Wow.
Like we're like, okay, I'm tired, I'm going to bed.
Wow.
So, but I think it's given me habits, like making sure things are done. Don't be late. If you are late, just make sure you're respectful and kind of apologetic, because nowadays I think just for business owners that newer, older, but some, especially new ones, the basics, if people just do the basics,
I know.
Show up on time, follow up, because I was talking with someone, because you and I, we both mentor people. Mm-hmm. But I've had mentors lately. We set up a meeting, no call, no show.
Wow.
We set up a follow up, no follow up.
Wow.
No questions. Like when I have someone's ear that I respected, I have a list of questions, and I'm an agenda person. I'm sitting like, hey, this is what we want to talk about. Yeah. Thank you for giving me your time. So I think those are just little things. And I think, I've been a member of some sort of gym, like ever since I graduated high school. So I've always had some sort of structured physical fitness. My father, he was very instrumental in helping instilling paying bills. Like I have my processes for paying bills. Granted, I may have veered off in some years, but I always knew what the basic thing was, how you pay your bills. I've segued that into my business about how, from a financial, because I think financially, that's where people struggle. And so that's like the foundation of kind of me doing everything from a personal and a business side, is kind of have a good foundation for money.
Yeah.
Because I think I just read today, and I know you and I, we don't have car notes, but
I actually am allergic to car notes.
But it's a 30-year high. The first time in 30 years, I think that the delinquency rate is the highest it's been.
Wow.
So I heard that on the radio. Then I saw it, I think this morning on Good Morning America.
Really?
And so I was trying to figure out like what, especially being in the real estate realm, is that housing. So I think people are probably having to choose between houses and cars. And so I'm always trying to work back to what's the financial ramification. And then we as African Americans, we know what the wealth gap is. Like how are we working toward that? And the average car note, I think now it's up to like $600-$700, and so it's just things like that I'm always aware of, and how I want to spend my money and my time and run in my business to making it successful, because I think that has a lot to do with how I show up in my business.
Yeah, it really, and I'm, it's interesting when you said the house and a car, and I think you're onto something, because I do find that people, you'll say, well, it's not free parking, or it's just, it's okay, I don't have a car anyway.
Right.
So I could see that, but then I do see where people are, buying cars, for floss reasons, right? Yes. To floss, to say, hey, I got this car.
Because they want to match a lifestyle that they think people are looking at.
But wait, so when I think about that, Sarah, like you grew up with the Joneses, right?
Yes.
The term the Joneses, right? So I want to flip that. I know some Joneses.
I do too.
Right?
We all know some Joneses.
Right? But I know some Joneses that got good credit. I know some Joneses that, are frugal. I know some, I think we've, and when I say Joneses, right, that's a Black family, there's some level of wealth. It was like, oh, I want to be, but what we forgot to get was the whole story.
Yes.
How did the Joneses get to be the Joneses?
Yes. Yes. And so I think the way people are portrayed and displayed, they're looking at bits and snippets of how they got it.
Yeah.
They don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
And people take what they want to, people put out what they want to show, and people take in what they want to eat, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I think you have to kind of be smart enough to kind of work through the minutia of the lifestyle. And then once you're in it, you understand like, oh, this is how, like entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, what is, because I remember someone asking me, she was actually, she just got licensed as a realtor. She was like, oh my gosh, do you think about some days I should just go to work? I was like, every day.
Would you say that?
Every
girl, sometimes somebody was like, I said one day, somebody I said I'm going to be a nonprofit worker.
Right.
They're going to say, what's she doing? She just helping. She volunteering.
Yes.
She just doing something. I'm with you. If you
day.
don't say that, then you really, yeah.
Like when you start thinking about it, to go to work,
with
from
the
9 to 5,
get a check every first
and you're really
and
not
15th.
doing anything, and you can put, I'm gonna be on vacation. Can you imagine going on vacation and you don't have to look at your email? I might even have a phone if I didn't have to.
You are so
I was like,
right.
so I'm just trying to understand, like, not that I would change it, but there's a level of sacrifice and commitment that is that you, and motivation, because people think work from home. Now people are seeing what real work from home is. Like you have to motivate yourself.
You do. You have to be disciplined. Discipline at the highest.
And I think that's why my regimen of getting up early and working out and kind of started young. And I'm glad that continued, because
that's the skill set that is required.
Because I work from, I work from home a lot, so I still have to get up and have, take a shower, show
do
up.
Your rituals.
Yes.
Yeah. And show up. And so, real estate, we're in Chicago, right?
Yes, we are.
When people come to Chicago, the one first thing that people say is, it's so beautiful, the architecture, right? I mean, that's what we say. And I remember a friend said, I love Chicago. You all's homes look different. Like, I could go to one neighborhood and this neighborhood, it's all ranches, right? She was like, at one point, I remember a friend came and said, I don't see any new houses.
Right. Because it's old housing stock. Like we don't have the subdivisions like the suburban markets have.
Yeah. And so so when you think about that, right? And you think about, this is a huge market for real estate, right? But while we say it's a huge market for real estate, why are we still in poverty?
It's a huge market for those who take advantage of it.
Got it.
And how you choose to take advantage of it depends on where you are in life, or mentally and financially.
Yeah.
Because, there's that, I don't want to live here. I have to have this. And, and I don't sell residential anymore, but I sold it for years. And what would, amaze me, you'd have, I need this for my shoes. I need this. I said, so your shoes? Okay. So it was always the things that people were attached to that they want to make room for. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if home ownership or buying a property, whatever case you may be, it's connected to wealth. Are your shoes connected to wealth? Because when you take them, or is your car, you drive it off the lot? We already know what happens. I was reading about some Porsches that they have lost. I think the new price is $140,000. Wow. And I think after 2-3 years, they said that and the Toyota Camry are maybe on the same.
Wow.
But I've never, and I'm glad that I've never really. I mean, I love cars.
Me too.
I mean, I have.
Yeah.
But I've always been one to say, I understood that it would just lose value. So, you have a car that's clean, you take care of it. Yep. And I think the important thing is you surround yourself with people that value your friendship one-on-one. They're not looking at, Sarah drives this, she's not this, or we're not asking those questions. We're, understanding each person for who they are and where they are and kind of helping them along the way. And that's why you have a diverse group of friends. And so I think that's what's missing. But I think we just have to kind of understand where our flaws are and where we need work. And that's patience. Because that's what's needed is patience to buy a house, to start a business. You want to start a business, everybody want to be a 7-figure earner.
So Sarah, and I remember someone telling me, they said, well, and they were like, Larvetta, if I quit, I want to, make the same amount of money. I said,
it's not going to happen.
I can't, I'm not saying it's not possible. What I'm saying is because the difference is you could work more hours.
Yes.
You can work less. Some in my business, right? This 1 week you might not work as many hours just because, you got to help out with family or you've got to do some things. But does that mean that the business is suffering? No, but it's running on a little bit of an autopilot, right?
Right.
But when you are at a job, right? They're paying you that $600K or $800K.
No matter what.
So, the family happens, but they're taking that time away. Okay, well, you're going to take some vacation time or PTO, whatever it is, right? It's not 365 days.
Right.
It's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is. But the idea is that we are 365 days. We have the ability to work or don't work.
Right.
Right. I mean, some people work every day. Some people work 3 days a week. You just dictate how you want to run your business. And let me say this. The part that I want to talk about is the private and public sectors. Because when I read this, I was like, Realty, people don't know what that is. What's that? What's the private and public sectors?
So, as you know, I do my business a little bit different.
You do.
So I am a licensed managing broker, meaning that I can own a brokerage. And so they have licensed broker and then managing broker and designated managing broker.
Okay.
A lot of people that are designated managing brokers still work for companies, but they may at some point decide to work, start their, hang their own shingle or their own company.
Okay.
So the public sector, so I am certified as a minority and a woman-owned business. Yep. And so I look for business that are the public sector. And public sector meaning City of Chicago, Cook County, government entities. And so I look at that as trying to get business from those entities. Okay. So I use my certification as a minority and woman-owned business to farm for business, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I got that background because I used to work for a firm that was certified as a minority.
Wow.
So I worked for that. That was I worked for an owner that ran a whole company that was certified and kind of built his business around that. And so the public sector, the government sector, they have mandates that they have to abide by, saying, okay, if we sell a school, we have to make sure that we are hiring, our hiring practices. We have to have women on the team. We have to have some sort of diversity on the team as far as the 100%. So you can have 80% of a firm that has no restrictions. Then you have to have a woman on firm that may have to be 5%. Then you may have to have a minority put in place for 20% of the project. So that's every federally funded program or anything sold with the government. It has to have some sort of advantage for minority women or things like that. And so for the public sector, just because they don't have the mandate, sometimes you have companies that's just like Larvetta. L3 Ventures doesn't have a mandate, but as the owner, you feel like it's good business to make sure that you hire within certain communities, so that's public sector that you have you don't have to have any rules around how you're hiring, things like that.
Okay.
So,
and then the private sector
is like a Larvetta, L3 Ventures, or like my company. You can go and hire people because it makes good business sense for your brand.
Right.
You can hire whomever you want.
Okay.
You don't have to say, well, you're not mandated. You may have a personal mandate just on how you feel. So like the Women's Business Development Center, they're talking to companies that, may feel good about doing certain things in the neighborhood because as an organization, they are socially responsible, socially conscious that they would like to do X, Y, Z. Like we were talking about earlier, like you was like, oh, I would like to do some, do you want to just look at the dollar value?
Yes.
As opposed to being socially conscious. You have the right to do that because you're privately held. You don't have to have to answer anything. You don't have any agreements to abide by, things like that.
And conditions, terms and conditions.
Correct.
Around that makes, because when I saw it, I was like, I don't think that the average person understands what private and public sector. I think we understand it probably more, like if I think about like in my space, right?
Yes.
In my space, the private sector are, would be, even though it sounds like this, but Coke is private for us.
I was just thinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Coca-Cola.
Yes,
Coke is a private. And then, of course, same thing, but public sector might be a school.
Yes.
Right? And so understanding that where the Coke is targeting consumers, whereas the school is targeting parents.
And from a payment standpoint.
Yeah.
So that's when Coke pays you, you're just getting paid in your 30 days.
Correct.
And if you're paid from like a school, there may be some paperwork that you have to go through.
Correct. It's so very similar.
Yes.
In the terms, not necessarily what that execution looks like. Right. And so,
just making sure your business is set up to receive both.
Yeah.
Because you can go out of business, maybe having one line item of your client, depending on how you venture out on each side.
And so when I think about real estate, right, we know that this market rate around, I heard it, buy real estate makes you wealthy. I mean, that's just it. Like, I ain't about to go into the details.
I know.
But we say that.
Yes.
Right?
Over and over. Yes.
But I'm not sure that that's true.
Exactly.
Okay, Sarah.
I mean, because they say it and it's a snippet.
Yeah.
They need to say what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, if you work hard and, you have to say everything else where you have to complete the sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening. The sentence is not complete.
It's not.
Because some people are not meant to be landlords, and some of them are my friends. Yeah. And so I'm like, no, you should never have a tenant ever. Yeah. Like they talk about taking off doors. I think people used to do that back in the day.
Oh, wow.
The owner would be like, this is my property, this is my door. They're not paying, this is my door. I think that was a thing way back in the day.
Wow.
And then there's some, like I remember my friend, she was like, oh, I want to buy a 2-flat because I want to drive by and put flowers. No.
No, look, no, that don't work. It don't work like that.
You can take pride in that, but just understand this is a vehicle of wealth building.
Yeah.
And
I think it's one that, I didn't, basically we left, I lived in a high rise. So we lived in an apartment until I was like 18, right? And, we moved to the suburbs, got this house. So I didn't necessarily experience, but one of the things that I did experience, to your point, is my mother showed me how money and checking, the ledger.
Yes,
put the checks.
I love the
like,
ledger.
She did all that. So for me, it was like, okay, you need to learn this. But when she bought the house, she would talk to me about interest rate and make like it was like, and at this point I'm 18, 19. So I'm intrigued. Like, tell me more. Like, what's this? Okay. And then, buying a condo very young.
Yes.
And buying it with the intention, I bought that knowing I would never live there forever. And I think sometimes people have to make decisions on that, right? This was a short-term investment. I'm not going to have it, and I get it. People, I'm holding on to this property forever. That was not. But one of the things that I was able to do was leverage it for business.
Exactly.
And that's the part that I wish that story is told. Not so much that you buy real estate, you make a lot. No, if you acquire real estate, you can leverage it for business.
Leverage it for your kids' tuition.
Yes.
So I think
that's the narrative.
Because people look at it like they want to get all this property. Like, no, let's use it for what, for wealth.
Yeah.
My kids are paying for their college tuition. Yeah. I'm starting a business and this is my seed money. Yeah. I'm investing in myself.
Yes. It's the seed money. It's the seed money. You're listening to Black Businesses Matter, and we will continue our conversation in a second. But first, take a listen to this special message for our BBM fam.
We know how important it is to stay connected, so why not join our BBM Fam Club for special announcements and exclusive offers by texting BBM FAM to 312-300-1300. That's BBM FAM to 312-300-1300 today. Now let's get back to Black Businesses Matter.
Right? When we think about Black families, we don't have the Hilton money, right?
Right.
So we might have a little bit of money, but we don't have the Hilton money, right?
Correct.
So the idea of being able to say, hey, we can take some of our equity and we can use this to do that. Like, we don't understand those things and those values. And I think that Chicago, with the rising cost of, just food and taxes, I do want to ask you this. Like, are we anticipating a real estate
here we go.
financial crisis?
Don't say it.
Are we?
No. The median price of homes are rising.
But it's not making sense to me though, Sarah, because when we think about when I remember when I saw something, right, the median is like 2 something, right?
No, we're in the 3s.
But I'm sorry, 325, right? Is it like
I think it's mid 3s, but it's of the Chicagoland area. Some is lower, some areas are lower, some areas are higher. Okay. But yes, it's around that.
But people aren't making the same amount of money.
Yes, but it's a supply and demand issue. There's not as many choices. The supply is cut down because just think about it. I bought a house when we talking less than 5% interest rates. Woo. And that lasted for quite some time. I call it the Black Friday that just went on too long because so now people are looking for that. In actuality, 7% is not bad. But if you got a house, then you're not selling your house unless you absolutely have to. Because you have such a great interest rate and you're looking like, wait a minute. And then the uncertainty of, the rising cost of food and things like that. If I can control my housing costs, which is like we all have to have a place to live, no matter what. Yeah. So if I can keep that low, or people, even if they have to move, they're still holding on to their house. To rent or because the numbers work for them. Yep. Yeah. So I think it's what it is. It's a supply and demand issue. So it's not as much supply out there. So people don't have that much to choose from. So now people are looking. There are more people looking than we have homes to buy. And then the builders, there are not as many cranes in the sky because the builders don't have as much land, or it's just a slowdown effect just based on the cost of supplies. And then with everything that's happening in the economy, there's that uncertainty. So, and then there's a cycle. You have to build. It takes a cycle.
Yeah. What about in the commercial space? Now that people, right, we go downtown, people ain't going into the office, right? Downtown doesn't have the cachet feel that it once had. Right? And so that's a lot of real estate.
Yes.
So Sarah, what's projected? I mean, what are we going to do?
In the commercial, so that's kind of where I am. I'm in the commercial government space. Mm-hmm. So government entities, they have their employees going to work at some fashion. We have at least 3 to 4 days a week, at least 2 to 3, and then now it's pretty much like 3 days a week. That's what's comfortable now. Now we don't know if they are going to be laid off, and then there's going to be a shortage of buildings. There were 2 buildings that I think I was looking at the news, and they were saying that they're looking at maybe selling a couple of downtown like buildings that are iconic.
Wow.
So
to corporate private sector.
The public sector. There are 2 government buildings that they're looking at selling potentially, and so I'm just like, what does that mean for the employees and things like that? So I am, we are at a very high vacancy rate in both retail and commercial, and so what that means is business owners. I just read the Delta in Wicker Park, they're closing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just announced their last day is March. So we see a shortage of businesses, especially in the food industry, because margins are tight anyway, and then you're not getting the traffic. And a lot of business owners downtown were given tax breaks because they're saying, hey, you know what? We're moving our employees to this building. Right. We are going to have 1,000 employees that's going to be needing lunch every day. And then when COVID happened, they still had the tax breaks, but nothing was happening as far as the businesses. And so it is, like you said, it's just very interesting to go downtown now. Like you used to be like, oh, I'm going downtown. And now you're like, okay, I need to map out if I want to have lunch, what's open, what's not. And so I think we're in a period that we have to just wait and see. People are still signing leases, not of course at the rate. But the retailers, small business chains, Walgreens, they just closed. They're closing 1,200 stores. Many in the Chicagoland area that are, controversial at best. But what's going to happen to those stores, those buildings? And then where are people going to go? So we see this shift happening. But I think as real estate, it ebbs and flows. Yep. Like you had, remember the subprime market when everybody you could breathe his house. And then it dipped. And so I think we just have to wait and see. But I think it's going to, the hope is that it will all kind of balance out over the next 3 to 5 years. But we definitely are waiting to see. And with the stock market, which is driving a lot of this, people are just, you and I, we have offices that are like, it used to be when we started our business, it's like, you don't have an office? Yeah. Now it's like, you had an office?
You got it. Exactly. So, people do. They be like, you go into an office? Right. I'm like, I do.
Yeah, I do. I need to get away. But we have options that are more flexible. So I think that's what's going to happen. There'll just be more options and people need to be more strategic and a little bit more, nimble in how they think about their spaces. So a lot of people have hoteling space. We may not need 10,000 square feet. Let's have 5,000. People come in on alternating days because I still think there's a value of coming into the office.
I do too. I was having this conversation with a colleague of mine, and I believe that to build culture and community, it's impossible to do it on Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, whatever you use. It's impossible. Not to say that it can't happen. Right. But it's not impossible because let me tell you something. You know why I know that? Because the one-on-one conversation, it still works. Like when you pick up the phone and call somebody, that's impactful. You're not on a Zoom because that one-on-one is actually attention to attention.
Yes, and I'm seeing your body language. I'm seeing your facial expression, how you react to certain things. And it's like, okay, because people get offended. They didn't have their camera on, and so what does that mean? They don't even want to be people are reading into things that are not even there.
And that's because my favorite thing on a Saturday is to work out and talk on the phone.
Ooh, because it probably goes so fast. You get on the treadmill and take. You're like, it's 4 miles.
Playing catch up with the friends. Right. I absolutely adore that. Right. So,
what workouts are you doing while you're talking?
No. This is when I'm just doing cardio walking.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Just the walking, not because I can't do the weight training. I need to focus because I don't want no weight falling on me. But I do enjoy. To me, talking on the phone is therapeutic. So I've told people that's. But I think that's that was that Saturday life. Yes. Like you just like on the phone with your auntie, your cousins for hours, right?
Because there's no work or nothing.
It's nothing. So to me, the phone serves as I don't have to. I can't look at the text. I can't see the text. So I'm focused at that moment. So I've learned that thing is very. Sometimes if I'm sitting at home, I'm texting, I'm scrolling, I'm this. So if I'm on the show, I can't do nothing but. That phone's sitting right up there and I'm doing my thing. I can't touch it. So I think that there's something to be said about that. I do want to say this as we build these communities in Chicago, right? businesses, I hear this and I just want to get your perspective. You know, a lot of times business, you know, they'll say, well, you know, I don't need a brick and mortar, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what's your thought? But I wonder to get your thought on the real estate, because when there is, to your point, supply and demand, right? Now we've got demand.
Yes. For housing.
But we have demand for commercial.
Supply. We have a bunch of supply.
Yes. So, yes, I'm sorry. We have a bunch of supply.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's low demand, but we've got supply.
Yes.
Right? So my question is, but why is commercial so expensive if that's the case?
So it's expensive in the neighborhoods. I literally, because I had an office before COVID in Pilsen. I love going into the office. I like an office. And I literally was just looking at leases at the 30 North Michigan Avenue building. They have a bunch of smaller spaces. They're less than $1,000 a month. And so I can have a Michigan Avenue presence, but downtown, you can really work some deals.
Okay.
If you want to.
Correct.
So for me, I shouldn't say, less than $1,000 a month.
Okay. It's the neighborhoods that's expensive.
Yes.
Wow. Imagine that.
But it's always been like that.
Really?
Well, it's always been like that in the past, at least 5 years. You can probably go up and down and ask someone their rent for a space that they have. It could be a mixed-use apartment building.
I'm just going to make up some.
On Stony Island or something.
79th and Stony Island.
Yes. You can go there and they may say it's $1,500 a month. You can go downtown and get an office lease in a building that has, it could be a C-class building, but 30 North Michigan is pretty, it's an older building, but you can have a clean office. You feel somewhat secure. There's a lot you can do with the downtown office space. So I literally, because I love my office, even though I have a desk now in Hyde Park, but I like the office.
You like
because because I would go to the office on the weekend and just when I'm there, I'm focused. And then in real estate, I'm downtown for a lot of meetings. I'm downtown networking. It would force me to say, hey, you know what, let me
stop at the office
or get lunch with somebody. And then you can have a meeting. People like to come to your office come to my office. I don't have to leave. I never had to leave because people like to come into my office.
Yeah.
And
I'm considering, that's why I was asking you in a few businesses, I've considered it because in some regards, you get enough space, you could do your meetings, you could do your events, you could do a lot of stuff. So I think,
on your time.
But I have to pick, it's about location, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of buildings downtown that you can do that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And now that there's a lot of supply, you have your pick. Because I've been in, I almost did it, but in the next year or two, that may be something that I venture back into a brick and mortar, as they call it, because it's nothing like going into an office building. And then on Saturday, or if I'm working late, I don't want to feel too or let me get something to eat. Yeah. Because it's all about proximity to where my clients are.
And I think to a certain degree, I think it's about church and state sometimes. I think sometimes we need to separate certain things.
And from a hiring perspective, like you have people, a lot of people that work for you. Sometimes you have a bigger pool depending on your address.
You're absolutely right.
And with transportation, something very, accessible to transportation.
Because I just want to make sure listeners and we've been talking about this. If you're opening a business, the whole brick and mortar, is it going away? People are scared and fearful. It's funny. So I know, Evergreen Park, I think it was Evergreen Park. I go down Kedzie. It's so many beautiful commercial properties, right? Some of them you have businesses, some of them you don't. But what I saw was that these were businesses that serviced that community.
Yes.
And so that's what we have to think. How can you, instead of a lot of times, right, you selling online. So you're trying to get the people online. Right. Sometimes, right, if you take a neighborhood, it's 24,000 people. Let's just do the math, right? 24,000 people. But let's say you get 10%. Right. You get 2,400 people to come into your business. That ain't a bad income statement.
That could be, well, who's your target market? And I think, so I will say this about space, because I get a lot of people that want to come to me and they want to get a space. They was at home and they have it planned out. It is okay to start without having a space, because once you start paying monthly, and people just want it from an emotional, like, they want their name in lights. I'm in professional services office. I don't need a 9 to 5 where people are showing up. But if you have a retail space, they have to understand that you will be judged if you are not open when you say you are.
That part. And the other part that I also think we have to do is to your point, and I know you know this with market analysis, is that, and I'm saying this, listen up, guys.
With love. She's saying it with love.
I am. But I know that there are a lot of businesses on the South Side that are not open on Mondays and Tuesdays. And I will tell you, I had 2 clients that came in. One was a colleague, one was a client. They came in, they flew in on a Sunday night, right? They were like, Larvetta, we want to go to a Black-owned. I said, newsflash, we don't have any that's open on Mondays. And I've realized that I'm saying this loud for somebody to literally open up a business, and you can call it, we open on Mondays.
Just call it Mondays.
That's it, Mondays. And you probably can make all because even though we have to say the community, no, because I kid you not, I went all the way to Humboldt Park to Duplex. That is a true story, because they were so specific that they wanted to eat they did not want to be downtown. They wanted to feel like they were very specific. So I want to make sure they were from DC.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so when I felt so bad, because I was like, there's nothing.
And I didn't realize that either until I was trying to go to breakfast on a Monday.
Yep.
And I just gave up and went to a staple.
Yeah.
That's
Valois, Original Paint.
Mesler.
Like these places have, when you look at them, and I want people to look at them, like look, Piece of Capri, they're open.
Oh, they're open.
And I get it. You guys need a break, but
Yes.
you're going to have to flip that thing, because I promise you and I see it in so many neighborhoods. And I see it when I go to other neighborhoods on the north side. They're like, we open Monday through Friday. They're not even open on the weekends.
Right.
So you don't. But what you have to do is do market analysis of your community. Ask them. And I think when people open these businesses, they didn't do that. Go do you some surveys. Go do you some forms.
Yes.
Would you come here on a Monday? And let me say this, and I'm going to say this, and we're going to talk about this planner. Businesses were used as safety places for after school. That's the part that we've missed out on. So a lot of times we had places to eat after school because they were deemed as safe. You could do your homework in there. It was like the South Side Wild, but they had a few businesses. After school
program.
Yeah. And so it felt like if mama was going to be late, you could be in there. Daddy was going to be late. You can work in there. There was some food. We technically, right, today don't have that. So you get out of school, go in our coffee shops close at 4.
Or earlier.
Or 2. But we forgot.
And everybody wants to be Starbucks. No, you don't.
Yes.
Why am I driving by this coffee shop that when I leave for the gym, it's not open, and when I come back, it's not open?
But the thing is that we're not serving the community, we're serving ourselves.
Yes.
Because when you serve the community, what I remember was that there was a shop that we grew up that they stayed open till 6 o'clock, because if we couldn't get in the house, we could go sit in there, eat it, but it was somewhat safe.
The people got off at 5, they could pick you up by 6.
But in some regards, I don't want you in the house by yourself. You're still not there yet. You can get you some chips, sit down. But I know that Mr. or Mrs. going to keep an eye on you. Right. And so, and I get it. Kids are different. I get it. I get all of that. But I think in some regards, we got to go back to
the basics.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, like, I don't know.
So, speaking of which, go back to the basics. So
it's a plan that you can write in.
When I tell you all, she's launched this incredible planner, okay? So I don't know. You listen to me. We talked about research. We talked about planning. You talked about be nimble. You talked about a lot of things. It's in her book, y'all. She gives you the tools, literally. It's so beautiful. So I don't even want to, she's got these tabs, which I'm so excited for the tabs.
Just fun fact, Larvetta was on the team to kind of give me some feedback.
The tabs, y'all.
And the bookmark.
And the bookmark. Yes.
Remember you gave me that little.
Oh my gosh. I love it. And so listen, I'm excited because there's something about turning a page. It gives you emotional connection. So I'm just going to walk y'all through. So it's a real calendar, guys. Okay. We know if it ain't in the calendar, it don't exist. It
does not
So you
exist.
have that, right? The second thing that I love is this is a business owner. She going to share with you. And this is one thing she has in here. It says, hashtag Sarah speaks on. As the year progresses, let this quarter, so it's broken into quarters. So when you build a business, look at I tell my now, thanks to you, my new tax and financial team,
girl.
thanks to you.
Does he get on your nerves like he does me?
Yes.
Okay, because somebody else shared with me that he does, and I want to make sure it wasn't just me, and he's doing what he's supposed to do.
But I will tell you something. I don't do this, and you better get on me because
it will not be done.
It will not. So we had a little bit of a touchdown.
Yeah, because I had a
little. I was like, y'all gonna get this. Y'all getting on my last nerve. Keep asking me. I told y'all this is what I do. So that's a whole nother story as a business owner. But here's what Sarah does, right? Oh, and the cue. Okay. Sarah speaks on. So it says, as the year progresses, let this quarter be a time of reflection. Look back on your achievements and setbacks with a critical eye. The power to adjust your sails in the face of adversity is what distinguishes a thriving business from the rest. So these quotes that I love are quotes that are good for you to really think it's your business. Not just, and again, one statements are great, but really to
make you think about your business. Yeah.
Excuse me. She has a QR code for those of us who want digital. She's got a QR code, right? That was
a Larvetta.
Yeah, I did tell her
red
that.
line.
And so you are able to order this. And when I tell you who is this for, so I'm going to give y'all some things. Honestly, I think it is awesome for even someone that's a student.
Who wants to,
who was looking, maybe there's some enterprise.
Can you imagine if we had that when we was
babe, I'm telling you, I would be nothing nice at this age because
we tired.
We're tired. We tired. And here's the part. She even has, we talked about this, quarterly taxes. How many of you all as business owners, you only know quarterly taxes because there's a commercial that's popping up or somebody says it. You don't know when quarterly tax, right? Unless you're in a system that ADP or those things like this, you don't know these factors.
And to get there, you have to.
Correct. So to be able to have this, to understand, it's almost as if you don't even got to go to business school. You get this book, you don't even need to go to business school. I'm serious. Because you can learn and be like, you go to business school. They're like, how do you know all this information? Like your certification checklist. So you mentioned that Sarah talked about her certifications. So you have the ability to put all this in one place. I'm telling you, it's about, when she said be nimble, but it's also about building processes, right?
Yes.
And building processes that live with you and you can leave. So you can even keep this, save this, put it in a lockbox, you can pass this on. A lot of times those phones we have, we're putting notes, and I'm guilty of it. But some of this stuff I need to put down on paper.
Yeah, my EIN.
Yeah,
I know it, but sometimes when someone asks you, I'm like, I want to make sure it's the right one because
Yes. And so this right here, guys. So where can people order their planner?
My website, sarahware.com.
WARE.
SARAH. Sarahware.com, and there's a tab for a planner.
Oh, you
yes,
did.
You
have a tab. So that is Sarah Ware. That's with the H, guys, and Ware as in WARE, not Ware, WEAR. So I have to clear that.
Yes,
up so people,
thank you for that.
Yeah, because we listen, we talking, and they're like, "Oh, Sarah Ware." No, not the clothes you wear, guys. That's not it. No, it's the WARE. Okay,
right.
And so. It's good to do check-ins. She's got payroll. And it's also great for established businesses, right? You are an established business and you have multiple businesses.
And we're established and we still getting our account together.
So this right here, reconcile finances. That's what we're dealing right now. So to know that and to have this, I'm so proud of you, Sarah. I'm super
and thanks for
proud
giving
of
me
you.
some feedback.
That's
what you want to do is create a village of people that you can say, you know what, I'm not looking at this right. And then you have to have the space to let them tell you, like, Yeah, so in a nutshell, it was created because a lot of people asked me about certification, being a business owner, and things like that. And I said, just let me create a foundational book that would help me because I use it. And then it was like some things, conferences, like when you go to a conference, that's part of your professional development. But I get amazed at people that don't look at an agenda before they go to a conference. I'm not going just to go. I'm going to be intentional. So I'm writing down who I want to meet, what sessions I want to go, what I want to get from that, and things like that. So having a space to just make yourself accountable in your business because it's hard.
It is. It's very hard. And I think, we've been talking about Women's History Month and we've been talking to women entrepreneurs. There is women that are thinking about you because you're thinking about us.
Right.
When you built this, you create, not that men are can't do this because she's not that. It's very, not gender specific at all. Actually,
that was intentional,
and I love that.
Yes.
Like I love that
because they, we need them as business owners as much
and understand that. But what she did do was think about us as entrepreneurs, us as enterprisers, us as innovators, us as creators, and I think that's the thing. You may not have a brick and mortar, but you got to file those taxes, guys, right? You got to file taxes. You've got to reconcile transactions. Like, I know it's like, oh, the sexiness, I got this, I got that.
Yes.
And she gave me this beautiful card. This is so beautiful, Sarah. This is real. When I say beautiful, and for those of you all, we used to have the Franklin planners from back in the day.
Yes.
It's a cleaner because those Franklin planners were heavy.
Yes.
They were heavy, right?
But we had to have one.
But we had them.
We had to have one.
And I love when they started changing to like the colors and I could update and do our thing. So listen, I'm challenging you all. You know that it's Women's History Month and it's important that we not only support, but we also tell our sisters that are woman-owned entrepreneurs that we are proud of them. And so it's important to do that. And I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm challenging all of my businesses, not necessarily to you, Sarah, but to our listeners. And so that we are intentional with Women's History Month, right? We're coming off of Black history and we know that it's every day it should be Black. And we know that, right? I don't necessarily believe that it's every day for women's history. Not to say it can't be. I'm not sure that we're there yet, right? You know what I mean? Like, I got to be honest. I don't think that we're there yet, but I do think that there's something complementary. And I run a business where it's all women. And so all of the things that we hear, that's not true because I don't experience that. Like,
oh, you can't work together.
No, that's a lie. That's a myth and that's a lie. So that doesn't exist in my life. So I won't do this. But before I challenge the listeners, I have to ask you, why do Black businesses matter?
Black businesses matter because it's important for Black people to see Black people doing things that they want to do.
Ooh, that's good.
In all aspects of life, not necessarily in business and personal, just all things positive. Because if we want to make a positive story, we have to make our own, clearly.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's important that we say and remind. And again, as you all know, this podcast is to shine light on Black businesses, even individuals that collaborate with Black business. This isn't here. We weren't built here to say no to white, Asian, Ukraine. That's not here. So I want to be very clear. The one thing that I want to give as an example that I heard, when you go to Chinatown, right? Mm-hmm. You're buying Chinese food, right?
Yes.
And that's totally fine.
Yes.
They're not screaming. They're not hot. They're inviting you to participate to where they do community. So what I'm saying is the same thing. This is our community. We're inviting you into our community. You can buy from us. You can invest in us. You can support us. You can even come on this podcast and talk to us. But we have to understand that there is no such thing as when we build something that we are excluding anyone from it. We just have never had a community where we can walk down the street and everything, Black restaurants, Black professional services, Black school, like we don't have that.
My attorney is here, my accountant is here.
We don't have that. And guys,
my real estate office is here.
And I'm talking to a real estate office that you know that this doesn't exist.
Yes.
You know that there's nowhere in Chicago that you walk down the street, I'm going to go get me something to eat that's Black. I'm going to go talk to my attorney. attorney. I'm going to go to get some dental work. I'm going to go get a pedicure. And then I'm going to go to a marketing company and see if I can get a job.
And then after I get my job, I can pay for the groceries. I'm going to go to the black grocery store.
But it's good to dream, though.
Yes.
It's good to dream.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to dream. And I think that that's the important part, is making sure that we dream. So this platform is meant for that same reason. We don't have real estate, but we have real estate professionals like you to tell us exactly about things that are important. If that is the journey that you want to go, commercial, residential, this is just somebody you need to know. I'm going to tell you, Sarah is like sometimes I just be like, oh, no, don't do that. Let me tell you what she needs to do. No. Like, she just has a wealth of information. And I appreciate that, because I think in some regards, the real estate market can be intimidating.
Yes.
And so just having people who do it very well.
And it is a way to create wealth at a young age. And for those that may not want to go to college, and there's scholarship opportunities for people to, because now they lowered the age to 18. So all you need is 18 years and older.
Wow.
High school diploma or a GED equivalent.
Wow.
No back taxes or child support, things like that. And then if you have that, they can make some arrangement. You can probably talk through that.
That's awesome.
At some point.
That's awesome.
Maybe.
What about your mentor program? What about that?
So I just created a scholarship. So there are several scholarships that people can go to get their real estate license. But I created this out of need because I volunteer at a high level. And so because of that, my travel and expenses are always picked up. So real estate has taken me all across the country. So I know that I'm afforded that opportunity that many are not, because I'm usually one of the only one. And so I created a scholarship called the Sarah Ware Empowerment Scholarship with the Chicago Association of REALTORS, because I was past president there, and I saw that people wanted to get involved and want to go to these conferences. But I pretty much know that it is purely financial why they don't. So events, just things to be engaged. And so I created a scholarship where they can have up to $500 reimbursed to them for events, for conferences, for memberships to certain organizations. That's not just for the real estate, Chicago real estate, but for other entities like the Dearborn Realtors Board, the Asian, the National Association of the Hispanics. So it's just different entities, but I think I want to at least lighten the load. $500 may not get the entire conference paid for, the entire event, but I want to give something where somebody just engaged, because deals are not made, unless you are in front of somebody, because people do business that they know, like and trust.
Absolutely.
Regardless if they got an MBA or BA or AA or whatever it is.
Correct.
So I think that the more you engage, the better you do at your business. Because I think I probably wouldn't do as well if I'm not engaged. And then from the political side, Realtors are the largest PAC, political action committee, and most people don't know we give the most to politicians. We are the largest lobbying group.
Wow.
The largest, and the largest trade organization.
Wow.
But you wouldn't know that by some Instagram channels, because they see us just closed. So not that there's anything wrong with it, but I think we need to start looking at the policies that's being made, because they affect us the most.
Yeah.
Us meaning Black people.
I love that. I'm actually doing a policy with somebody coming up. And so I agree with you on that. And I think, thank you for shedding that light for us, because I don't think that we know that. I don't know that I've ever heard that on a podcast. So thank you.
Well, but I think every industry, people should get involved in their industry organization.
Agreed.
Not necessarily, yes, your craft, but I think from the industry side, they should get involved in whatever organization that runs that, whether it's licensing body or just marketing or whatever you're in. I think you should get involved in that from a policy side.
I agree. I think I'm right with you on that. Like the fact that I'm totally, because I don't think we knew that, that's how we're able to advance.
Exactly.
We can't advance just kind of chit chat, talking and screaming and hollering, but we can talk, but screaming and hollering about policy. And I think this political climate is also forcing us to do that too.
Yes.
You know, so I think that. So what brings you joy?
I like silence and solitude.
Okay.
I am an introvert by nature. Most people think that I'm not, but I am. And people get to know me, they're like, yeah, I can see that. I like people, I like engaging, but when it's downtime, I enjoy, like tonight, Friday night, I can't wait. I'm trying to think of the Netflix movie that I'm going to watch.
So what's your binge? Who are you binging? Because I'm not that good at that. So give me a binge. I'm not a TV person.
Girl.
I think that's the extra.
So I'm a documentary person.
Okay.
I just got through watching the OJ thing. My,
the old one?
No, they got a new one out on Netflix. It is because
I like documentaries
because it brings you back. Remember when that came out and the chase?
Yeah,
and that was
okay.
You got to look at that.
Okay.
And then Tyler Perry, he just released his
tonight.
Yes,
right.
Well, no, that was yesterday. I didn't watch yesterday, so I was
what
waiting.
was the new one? It was that one.
Yes, but they just released some new episodes.
Yeah.
So that's Friday night. I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat for food.
You know what? I love
binge.
it. This is what, but I need for people to see, this is what business owners do. Like, we're people, we're human. We love the things. We take breaks. And I love that you share what brings you joy. This was just a joy, Sarah. So let me tell you why it took us a long time to get her. She's really booked. She's always busy. And again,
No. I don't say that. I don't say I'm booked. I say I'm scheduled.
Okay. I'm
kind of like you are. You're not booked. You're scheduled.
You're right, Sarah. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Don't say you're busy. You're scheduled.
You're right. I'm scheduled. And she's been scheduled a long time. So the fact, but I always believe when it's the right time. I mean, when God said it's the right time, it's the right time, right?
Yes.
And so I'm okay. But we have been trying to get her, you all. So just for the record, she's been on our list and I can't get her and I sit next to her. But that's okay, y'all. That's okay. Proximity is sometimes not always in your favor. No disrespect. So I'm just going to say that. But I'm excited, you all. She is killing the game, shaping real estate and community growth with vision and vigor. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
I want you to follow me around because I love hearing your accolades, even though I be kind of shy. And I'm like, I'm going to have Loretta just follow me around because she can just pour into my soul.
I'm so proud of you. And I want people to know for Women's History Month, I'm saying this, guys, is that listening to Sarah's story and listening to the women-owned businesses that are changing the world, that are making policy changes, that are building profound impact, they too need motivation. They too need support. So, write them a note. We were talking about this. Write them a note. Say, I'm proud of you. I see you, sis. You don't know how much that gives a Sarah, and I'll say a Larvetta another 100 hours to keep doing what they do. And so I didn't say days, 100 more hours. Because that's what's happening. We're putting in hours. And so in this month, whether it's your sister, whether it's the girl you see online, whether it's walking down the street, please acknowledge her. Say, I see you. I'm proud of you. It goes far. But I promise you, putting it in the mail will just change it because that's something that you get to have posted on your wall, put in your planner, whatever, to keep you pushing. And so in this Women's History Month, as we continue to salute and shine light on women, I am just imploring all people to be able to shine light on women and let them know that you see them.
Okay, mic drop.
So that's it, and I want people to understand that this month. And so, guys, again, I'm taking on the challenge too. So this thing, I'm not just telling people to do that. I'm actually going to do the same thing. I got a bunch of stamps. So watch me. I'm going to be sending texts. What's your address? I know I work with you, but what's your address? So do that. Use the text message feature. I know you can text them and say it, but use it to ask for their address and just send them something to let them know that you're thinking of them. And so that's what I'm challenging us, guys. And this month is just hot. So keep your ears going. Literally, the ears are powerful. Okay. We are not video today and we were supposed to do video. So what I'm saying to you is the beauty of this is that you can listen to this on that treadmill. You can listen to this, taking that commute wherever you're going. And remember this and download it. So challenging you and share this with a friend. That's what you can do. You can take this episode and share it with a friend. So thank you guys for another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.